Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we comparing the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X to the Honda Ridgeline HPD edition, aka we are comparing Honda's off-roader to Nissan's off-roader. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Stockton 12 Honda here in Utah for giving me some time with this Ridgeline. I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for John. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Under the hood of the Frontier, we have a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 17 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 310 horsepower and then 281 pound-feet of torque. Under the hood of the Ridgeline, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission as well. Now, obviously the engine is different, but the transmission 9-speed. Anyways, 18 around town, 24 on the highway for the fuel economy. Power outputs 280 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, since these are both off-roaders, let's start with the ground clearance specs. So we have about 7.5 inches of ground clearance with the Ridgeline, and then we have about 9.5 inches of ground clearance with the Frontier. Now, when it comes to styling, you guys can see they both have their upsides and I suppose their downsides. Well, I don't think there's any downsides to the Frontier. It's such a cool looking truck. I love the orange accents. And then notice we got like skid plate protection underneath. We got LED lights, just really cool looking. Now with the Ridgeline, this HPD package really just elevates the Ridgeline. It looks so cool because of it. Notice with the chrome trim, that's kind of more like, you know, luxury truck in terms of the design, but it fits. We have fog lights here. Also have those on the Frontier. But yeah, let me know which one you like the looks of more from the front end. So tire wheel setup here on the Frontier is 265/70/17 in the front and in the rear. And then with the Ridgeline, it is 245/60/18 in the front and in the rear. So this is kind of more of like an SUV setup for the tire and wheel setup, and then this is more of like a pickup truck setup. But what I do want to say is both of the wheels look so cool on these trucks. I do kind of prefer the coloration here on the Ridgeline. It's just my personal opinion. Now look, both of them have chunky fender flares here, which is pretty cool. And then you guys can see they're actually pretty much the same height, which is interesting. Notice that chrome on the door handles too, whereas this, it's all body painted. And then we've got cool stickers on both of them. That's important. HPD over here, Pro-4X over here. So here are key fobs for the trucks. You guys can see they have the same functionality with the remote start function, door lock and unlock. I do think that the Honda key fob looks a little bit more modern, but there you go. Now popping into the cargo area, we have just over 1,000 pounds of payload capacity with the Frontier. We have almost 1,500 pounds with the Ridgeline. So the Ridgeline definitely has more payload, and it frankly has a cooler bed situation. So with this tailgate, it does not slow lower down, but you guys can see composite bed here in the back, and it also turns into a door, so that's pretty cool. And then you have this storage space underneath, so that is definitely fun. Now you compare that to the Pro-4X, and it just has like a regular tailgate. It slow lowers down, and then you guys can see bed liner here. We do have lights here in the back and then an outlet, which is nice. And then let me know which one you guys like in terms of styling with the rear end. I like the taillights on the Pro-4X. Those are pretty cool looking. And then you guys can see with the Ridgeline, dual exhaust tips. That's cool on the Ridgeline. Nice. Also, we have 5,000 pounds of towing capacity there. We've got over 6,000 pounds over there. And popping inside, you guys can see we've got nice padding all over. This package is built off of the RTLE package, so really nice seats. And let's actually see what the space is like. Woo, yeah, pretty solid. And we'll actually go from there straight over to the Frontier. So you guys can see, got some orange stitching. Some of you might like it, some of you might not. Move that out of the way. Look at these seats though. Fancy, that's for sure. And then popping in, ooh, yeah, the Ridgeline has a little bit more space, it looks like. And then popping to the front of the Ridgeline, you guys can see with the material use here on the door panel, notice automatic windows, memory seats, we got blind spot monitoring, and then here are the front seats. Sorry about the camera freaking out there. Can't control it sometimes, it's got a mind of its own. But notice we got like an econ mode, you guys can see here for the mirror adjustment. And then down below, You got like your stability control button, parking sensors, lane departure, collision assistance, you know, the usual. And we'll actually close this up, see what the startup's like. And then you guys can see with the steering wheel, you've got nice padding all around. It is wrapped up. Stuff like adaptive cruise control and steering assist. Got your heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel, which is kind of funny. Paddle shifters for that 9-speed automatic. And then you guys kind of already saw with the gauge cluster. You got mostly analog screen functionality, but then, or not analog screen functionality, what am I saying? Mostly analog gauge cluster, but then you have a little screen in the center. We do have some drive modes we can go through. Normal, snow, mud, sand. It's mostly for the traction control system, hence why it says intelligent traction. Anyways, popping it into reverse, got a nice backup camera here with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Infotainment system's pretty solid. Response time with the screen is good. It's pretty easy to use. It's hard with the plastic wrapping though, I will say that. It always gets in the way. And then you've got your analog controls for the climate system, dual zone climate system. Heated seats here for the front. We got like a wireless phone charging pad. Yes, we got buttons for the transmission select. It is one of these. And then your drive mode select. This is interesting. And then you guys can see with the armrest situation. Always fun. And then, man, nice glove box right there. And then you guys can see with the rest of the dash. And then finally, we got a sunroof. And now popping over to Le Frontier, you guys can see we got a little bit more pizzazz, I suppose, with the coloration. Only one automatic window. Still blind spot monitoring with the mirror. And then you guys can see with these seats here. Ooh, and I will say, these seats aren't as comfortable as the Hondas. The Honda seats are a little bit more comfortable. And then also got stuff like the safety tech, the outlet, your cargo light, hill descent control locker for the rear, and then you've got your stability control. And this thing I'm going to talk about, this is a more traditional truck that has different suspension setup and everything compared to the Ridgeline, of course. But anyways, looking for the stop start button. You guys can see, ooh, fancy gauge cluster. Still have adaptive cruise control. Still have like the lane keep, all that fun stuff. And then you guys can see like volume control and everything. And then look at the stalks there in the back. But yeah, let me know which gauge cluster you like more, and I'll close the door here. Whether it's the Ridgeline or the Frontier. And then popping in reverse, this one does have like a 360 camera system. So a little bit more bougie, I suppose, is the word we'll use for it. And then that's the rest of the infotainment system. I feel like it's pretty equal with the Honda in terms of how easy it is to use, and then with the overall response time. And then we've got our analog control for the climate system, again, dual zone, heated seats, heated steering wheel in this, and then we have a wireless phone charging pad that's not there. It's actually right there. Couple cup holders, shifter for that 9-speed automatic, and then you guys can see here with the center console, again, more of that nice stitching all over. That is fun. And then this one also does have a sunroof. Now, while we were in the Frontier, I did mention there's a different suspension setup and everything, so let's quickly talk about that before we sum up the video. So with the Ridgeline, you have independent front and rear suspension and all-wheel drive. With the Frontier, you have independent front suspension, a solid rear axle, and then you have a 2-speed transfer case. So you have traditional 4-wheel drive and then 4-wheel low. And so 2 completely different driving styles with the trucks. So basically the Frontier is going to drive more like a pickup truck that you're used to. The Ridgeline is going to drive more like a modern crossover. So this is going to be a little bit more comfortable on-road, but then this is going to be a little bit more capable off-road. Again, it already has more ground clearance, but also the articulation with the solid axle. And so you have to decide what you want. Do you want more comfort, or do you want, I guess, more off-road capability and more of a truck-like feel? Oh, and that leads me to the last point before we talk about pricing. That truck is unibody. That truck is body on frame. Anyways, $46,000 MSRP, $49,000 MSRP. So I want you guys to let me know which pickup truck you would pick, whether it is the Frontier or the Ridgeline. And honestly, I think it's just going to depend on what a person is looking for. If you want a more traditional truck experience, then yeah, the Frontier is going to provide that. But if you want something that gives you truck capability, but then modern vehicle comfort, that's what the Ridgeline gives you. And I mean, you guys saw with the specs earlier, the Ridgeline actually has more towing capacity than the Frontier. So the Ridgeline is actually kind of better at being a pickup truck than the traditional pickup truck. That's kind of crazy. Anyways, that'll sum things up for today's video. Again, let me know which one you choose. A huge shout out and thank you to the Stockton 12 Honda here in Utah for giving me some time with the Ridgeline. Check out their info in the description down below. I'll see ya.